What's up guys, Blade Master here, going to be bringing you yet another Total War Rome 2 online battle. This is a battle that's going to try and showcase the Pikes and how they're functioning in Blade Balance. Of course, this is played in Blade Balance V 2.0. There is a tournament that's going to be held very soon. Already 30 players have registered at the time of recording, and that's literally within the first day of me posting this posting the tournament. That's awesome. I want like 64 players, make it a big tournament, $50 to the winner, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. This is me against Bobby. Pray for Bobby. Hashtag pray for Bobby. God damn it. Fuck. This keeps happening. And let's fuck. And unpause. Okay. So this is played between me and Bobby. Bobby has taken Nervii and I have taken Carthage. So Carthage, you can bring a lot of different things with Carthage now, especially since African pikes are better. Which is why I've brought African pikes. I brought a front line of 5 African pikes, backed up by 2 mercenary Balearic slingers, some mercenary Celtic warriors, some Italian swordsmen, a couple of Campanian cavalry, and a couple of Carthaginian cavalry, backed up by some late Libyans. Finally, some mercenary Numidian cavalry. And this actually makes it, I think, quite historically accurate, because Carthaginians were famed for their use of mercenaries and their use of strong infantry from Africa, and that is exactly what's going on over here. Almost all the Carthaginian cavalry are basically the only ones that are, that are purely Carthage or Carthaginian, maybe even the late Libyan Hoplites, but the rest of them, it's a purely, mainly mercenary army. So what is really new in what's changed from the last time we talked about pikes? I've reduced their melee defense by 10 for each pike, making them much easier to kill from behind, which sort of counteracts the fact that they can be used much more aggressively now. Mercenary Company taking some damage from Celtic warriors here, and besides that, I've removed all of the bonus warriors infantry for all the pikes. And I've slightly reduced the weapon damage of pikes. They still do a lot of damage, as we will probably see now. Late Libyan Hoplites coming in to help against the Celtic warriors after the charge from the Carthaginian cavalry, pulling back my mercenary companion. They're still basically at full strength, but probably have lost a lot of health. I'm going to issue an attack order with this one African pikeman onto this Oathsworn that's coming in to support my Celtic warrior here with 12 kills against his Celtic warriors, but they are going to die very quickly against the Oathsworn. Bobby, on the other hand, has brought a total of 4 Celtic slingers, 2 in the middle and 2 in the flanks. So he's got some Levy Freemen, some Oathsworn. He's brought a mix of Celtic warriors and Oathsworn with a lot of cavalry, and I think that's actually a very nice army. Here you can see my Carthaginian cavalry take a huge amount of damage from the Levy Freemen. They've depleted their precursor volleys, and you have to say that they've been pretty much cost effective by doing so much damage. They're a pretty expensive cavalry unit. So here, using my companion cavalry to destroy this Celtic slinger, and then trying to pull away there. Here, my African pikemen, they're saying combat even in melee. I guess one or two of them are in combat. Not really sure. Yeah, there we go. That's one of them. But they're still moving around. I'm trying to catch the general, the Oathsworn general, on the right flank, and that's one thing that's kind of new to Blade Balance. This is something that I'm trying. I don't even care about keeping a cohesive line. I'm just trying to use my pikes as aggressively as possible, running away from his mighty horse with one of my Numidian cavalry, and then bringing a Carthaginian cavalry to come into support there. Here you can see my African pikeman on the right hand flank is killing a lot of his Oathsworn, but at least doing a lot of damage, and they're pushing, as you can see. And they're losing a few men from the Celtic slingers, and I need to kill off the Celtic slinger very quickly. I'm getting consecutive charges with my companion cav here, and they've got that single experience share run, destroying a lot of the Oathsworn, but taking a lot of damage from the Celtic slingers, which is why I'm going to pull them away and then try to attack one of the Celtic slingers. And here he's pulling away with his Oathsworn. His Celtic warriors have died. His Oathsworn general is trying to come in for a flank charge against my African pikemen. I'm going to turn them around. They're going to derp out a little bit. But for the most part, you can see they're pretty okay. But this brings the biggest problem of pikes now, which not problem, but the biggest weakness of pikes, which is going to be highlighted by Bobby here. If you try and isolate your pikes, they can get caught and cut down by Oathsworn very easily. And here I'm going to use my African pikes to attack a Celtic warrior, but they kind of derp out, and the Celtic warriors get into their rear, pulling back my mercenary Balearic slinger, and my mercenary Numidian cavalry sort of wasting its ammo on a very cheap Celtic warrior. Here using my mercenary Italian swordsman to kill off the Levy Freeman, and on the left flank it looks like my Balearic slingers are busy just firing into Levy Free and Oathsworn. And yeah, isolating your pikes like this is probably not the best idea. Here you can see 28 kills with this African pikeman, but I'm bringing a second pikeman here, and it's hitting the rear of this old sword, and they're going to come into contact with these pikes. There you can see they lose a lot of men before he pulls away. And my companion cav chased after the Celtic slingers, and then they got caught by a mighty horse, and now they're getting, just cut down by mercenary Germanic scout riders and Celtic slingers. And here my Carthaginian cav catch one of his mercenary Germanic scout riders. Germanic scout riders are probably the best, or one of the best Jav cav units in the game. They're so quick, and they have excellent melee stats and a good shield to protect them from enemy missile fire. Going to pull away with the companion cav here. I'm not really sure why. I was in two minds. I didn't know whether to hit the Celtic slinger, the Celtic warrior, or the oath sword. And I'm losing pikes desperately quickly. Going to turn around this pike to face up against this oath sword, which has done reasonably well. And this companion cav has got caught in the rear, I think. So just not good play from on my end. Here this this African pikeman is going to drop its pikes down. The Celtic warrior is going to charge straight into the front of pikes, and they're going to die very quickly. But he's going to come in with a rear charge with mighty horse, and he pulls away right at the last second. I'm not really sure why. Oh, because I come in with my general to charge in, and I'm going to use my Balearic slingers to keep firing into them and kill off some more of the heavy horse. Managed to kill off that mighty horse at the far side of the map, but that means two of my units are really far away. I'm going to come in with this mercenary Numidian cavalry and come in and rear charge the Celtic warriors there, and possibly inflict a lot of morale penalties more than anything else. African pikes here getting 43 kills against Oathsworn. My companion cavalry here hasn't done much, hasn't even gotten a single XP. They've barely managed to get a single XP chevron. Poor use of companion cav from my end. And that's probably because I just broke off my pike line very, very quickly. And his Oathsworn here at 86 men, doing pretty decently. The African pike's not really pushing, but there's not much else that I can do. I mean, at a certain point, you just have to, put your hands up and say that's Rome 2 for you. And the Oathsworn here, double XP chevron, going to charge into the front of pikes and take a lot of damage there. African pikes are an excellent pike unit. And now this is sort of the sandwich where his Germanic scout riders are going to get caught. Not really sure why they're reforming. I guess, I changed my attack order. Shouldn't have changed my attack order. I changed my attack order, and then these guys try and move their pikes around. But you can see they get so many kills by killing off a lot of these Germanic scout riders at once. Bobby put himself into this this pike maiden, the Iron Maiden of pikes, a pike maiden of these African pikemen, and they get a lot of kills there. Celtic slingers meanwhile firing in, doing a good job. He still managed to hold out all of his Celtic slingers. My Balearic slingers has done pretty decently, firing into the rear of Oathsworn, I believe. Yeah, just this massive blob and killing off all of the Germanic scout riders at once, which kind of definitely turns things around for me, but I don't think it's enough. My Carthaginian cavalry at 43 men here about to get charged by Oathsworn, so I'm going to pull them away. Pulling back my mercenary Balearic slingers. I'm very desperate to not let them die. I need them absolutely if I want to win the game. This African pikeman has got a double XP chevron with 175 kills, and it's still racking up quite a few kills, but it's dying very, very quickly now. And here, forced to pull away with Carthaginian cav, Levi Freeman dying. I don't know how they even came back after that mercenary Italian swordsman routed them. And I have a couple of full strength pikes, well, not full strength, but they are slightly damaged. Most of them are okay. His Oathsworn general has done very well, 283 kills, and just getting more and more of his nobles, his Oathsworn in the rear. But my African pike, look at how quickly they die to slinger fire. I mean, these are some really terrible, these shittiest slingers in the game, and they're still going to do very, very well because African pikes, all pikes have very low missile block chance. And going to issue an attack order onto this Celtic warrior. Let's see if the pikes turn around quickly enough. They derp out, but but some of them hit the Celtic warriors, and for the most part it's not going to be a disastrous scenario for me. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to try and use pikes aggressively, it's not going to be the most ideal scenario. You're always going to run into the risk of this, because the way pikes work is they judge the center of a unit, and they judge the center of this unit to be over here, which meant that these stray units were going to get hits on them. But still, the African pikes do very well. Keep in mind, there's no bonus for his infantry, and they've lost a lot of melee defense. Can definitely not say they're overpowered at this point. I think they're in a very, very good spot right now. Not 100% sure, because we still have to wait and see how the elite players play with them. They're the best ones to see if any unit can really be exploited in any way. African pikemen here, I used to attack order against the Oatzone general. Oatzone general will definitely lose to African pikes on the in a frontal engagement. My African pikes here have done also pretty decently, but getting surrounded by Oatzone like this means that it's just going to be a bad time for them. But the thing that I like the most about these pikes on barbarian engagements is that it changes the game to a point that a higher skill level is required from both players, which means that you need more micro on the flanks, because African pikes, if you forget about your units hitting the front of pikes for even a couple of even half a minute, you could very well lose a very important unit. And on the other hand, if you want to counter pikes, the most effective way of doing so is by pulling away and just surrounding them. It's a close defeat for me. There's a bit of wow. There's a lot of apparently there's a lot of desync, but for the most part, I mean, I just played this game yesterday. For the most part, it was basically the same. But yeah, that's my thoughts on barbarian versus pike engagements. Now, you have to micro. Both players have to micro very well, so it really does boil down to skill over which faction inherently has the better units. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for more. Peace.